Good evening, Jayadama, Jema. All right, so tonight we're going to be going into looking at Kali Maa in relationship to how many arms does she have? What is she holding? And also a few other aspects of her, like her love of song, her love of dance, and her dance with disembodied souls. So, as usual, let's start by giving respects and honor to her son Ganesha, and then we will begin our Kali Maa studies and the Kali Sahasranama. Bring your hands to heart center. Inhale. Om. Second time. Om. And a third time. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Ekdantaya Vidmahe Vakratundaya Dhimahi Tano Dantihi Prachodayat. Om Namo Bhagavate Ekdam Sarahasmakalam Buddharaya Uchistamahatmane Om Krom Brim Keke Swaha. Jema. All right, so tonight we are going to be looking at verse 22. And if you're just tuning in, I'm Christie Smirl, spiritually known as Kalavati Devi, and we are studying the Kali Sahasranama, which are the 1008 names of the Holy Mother Kali Maa. And tonight we're going to go over verse 22, which is incorporates names 154 through 149. So let's take a look at the verse. And if you're ever looking for the actual verse, I always type it in advance in the description. So you can just click on the description and then you'll be able to see all of the names with the proper markings on them. So for tonight's verse, it sounds like this. Gītapriyā, vādyaratā, pretanṛtyaparāyaṇā, caturbhujā, daśabhujā, aṣṭādaśabhujā, tathā. So when we look at name 154 of Kali Maa, Gītapriyā. Gītapriyā means she who is the beloved of songs. Now, some translations say that this means she's very fond of songs, that she loves songs. However, we also know that she is the topic and the beloved of many songs. So Gita, many of you already know, means song, a divine song. And it's often a poem designated to be sung or to be chanted in a rhythmic manner. So Gita means song, and then Priya means beloved or dear or favorite or loved one. So I thought tonight I would share very quickly one of my favorite songs of the beloved Kali Maa, and I'll just do one or two verses, and it sounds like this. Ya Devi sarve bhuteshu shakti rupena samstita namastasye 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi sarve bhuteshu kali rupena samstita namastasye 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 namo namaha. So Gītapriyā, she who is very beloved and sung about, and also the form of Kali Maa who loves songs. So one of the wonderful ways that we can show our bhakti to the Holy Mother is to sing to her, to sing songs and sing words of praise. Okay, name 151 of 1008. This name is vādyaratā. Vādyaratā. And this means she who is extremely pleased by music. Vādya means musical instrument or the act of playing music, and rata is somebody who's deeply delighted, absorbed, and rejoicing in music. So one of the names for tonight is Kali Maa, who is the beloved of songs, who loves songs and also loves music, and is also our heart subject of our songs and our music. Okay, so the next three names and forms of Kali Maa have some similarity. Name 157, 158, and 159. So we have caturbhujā, daśabhujā, and aṣṭādaśabhujā. So this is the form of the mother with chatur, 4 arms, or daśabhujā, 10 arms, or aṣṭādaśabhujā, 18 arms. So this is very simple to understand. And why does Kali Maa have so many arms? Well, it depends on the nature of her emanation as to how many items she's holding and what she's doing with her arms. So we'll start off by looking at the classic 4-armed form of Kali Maa, caturbhujā. How's the sound tonight? Give me a thumbs up or a yes if the sound and quality is good. I had some internet problems earlier this week and things went a little bit wonky, but let me know if you hear well. All right, good. Thank you. All right, so why so many arms? This is what we're going to discuss. Her many arms symbolize her immense power. And she has, in her classic form, 2 of her arms are held in mudras, and we've talked about this before. One of her hands is held up in what's called abhaya, which is the mudra, which means do not fear. And then the other hand, with the fingertips pointing down, is vādyaratā, which is granting boons. Now, in her classic 4-armed caturbhujā form, in one arm, she's holding that hooked knife. So it's usually crescent shaped. Some people call it a, what are the different names for it? A kartika, which is slightly different shaped. And then the other one is a khadga. When we look at these different instrumentations that she's holding, the sword is often seen as an implement that grants spiritual wisdom. But first, it has the slice. So if you ever look at her crescent-shaped sword, there's usually blood on it already, and sometimes there's an eyeball on it. So that gives us a clue as to what the purpose of the sword is. It's not just a sword for the sake of violence. Good evening, Kalavati, Jai Maa. Good evening, Bhumi, Jai Maa. Okay, so when we look at this sword, we understand that it's to sever us from our worldly entanglements. It's to sever us from the aspects of our ego that are not doing us much good. And then when we see this sword in her hand, we recognize her swift ability to also cut away our emotions that don't serve us our spiritual highest. Now, typically in her 4-armed form, she has abhaya, vādyaratā, the sword. And with the sword, you'll either see her holding a severed head or a severed head with a bowl underneath it. And we've already discussed this, that it represents our ego, our uncured mind, and the bowl is to catch all of the drops of life force. Good evening, Kaku, Kari, Jai Maa. All right. So I want to talk deeper tonight, not just about the number of arms, but what is she holding in her arms? So we know that she often is seen with a trident. A trishul is also what it's called. And this is to penetrate. Now, typically it's three-pronged. And this trinity comes into play as to what the spiritual significance of the trishul is. So, number one, we know that the trishul or trident penetrates and masters what they call the three gunas, rajas, tamas, and sattva. We know that rajasic energy is out moving and energetic, but sometimes agitated and disturbing. We know that tama guna is restful and quiet, sleeping, but it can also be heavy, dark, ignorant, and depressing. And that sattva is more peaceful and higher spiritual. So the trident symbolizes her ability to master those three gunas. Now, we also know that the trident is responsible for working with the energy inside our subtle body in the Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. And that directly translates to those three energies. So we have the right hand channel of energy or nadi, which is the upward flowing yang energy. And then we have the left side pranic energy in the subtle body, the Ida, which is that downward flowing energy. And again, we have the Rajas or the Tamas, and then the central channel, the Sushumna, the central channel of spiritual essence. Now, her trident also reminds us of a trinity that has to do with life, death, creation. And we also understand that she is bringing liberation with this trident. It's not, something to be poking us with. It's to help us understand that we need to have that tri-fold balance in life. All right, so what else is she holding? Sometimes you see her holding a kapala. It's typically a half human skull, and it's a bowl, and you usually see her holding it underneath the head, carrying the drops of blood. And we've discussed this in a previous session when we talked about daśabhujā, the asura or demon that when his head is removed, his ego is removed, any drop of blood that hits the ground turns into 1,000 more daśabhujās. And so she's always having to catch that blood. When we see that kapala, though, her blood-filled bowl, we understand that this is her container, her holder, her collection of our pranic energy, our sacrifices to transform negative mental conditioning, false sense of ego into spiritual power, spiritual intelligence. So obviously we always have to read past what we see as, oh, it's violent or it's bloody. There's deeper esoteric meanings in each of these. We could go even deeper, but we're just talking about her arms and what are in her arms tonight. So what else does she often hold? When we see her with 10 arms, we know that she's coming in a very, very tremendously powerful form, right? And we know that when she has 10 arms, that she's able to manifest and work in 10 directions, north, south, east, west, the four intermediates, above and below. So in her 10-armed form, sometimes you see her with a noose. Jema, wolf, deadwood. So the noose we know can be used to capture us, to noose us, to pull us away from the ledge or the cliff, to pull us closer, to rein us, but not in a controlling or manipulating way. It is also seen that when she has a noose, she grabs a hold of Chanda and Munda. We've talked about those two asuras in previous sessions. And this is representation of her noosing our ego. So we also see other forms of divinity like Ganesha with a noose. One of her other hands, when she's in 10-armed form, daśabhujā, we see that she holds a spear. And the spear is seen as penetrating to bring sacred knowledge, to destroy ignorance, greed, anger, jealousy, delusion, lousy mindset, laziness as well. And she holds this spear to bring us that tapas, that discipline, and that single pointed concentration to progress on our spiritual journey. What else is she holding in this 10-armed form? Sometimes we see her holding a drum, a damaru, a double-sided drum. You'll often see it also with Shiva. And the drum is that hourglass drum, and it symbolizes the cosmic sound, the cosmic creation, the vibration, not only of creation, but also of destruction. So it can be rejoiceful sound, or it can be a warning sound of the dissolution. We also know that the two ends of that drum represent the unmanifest and the manifest, and that meeting point in the middle where her hand is, where she has the control over that drum. All right, what else is in her hands? Sometimes you see her holding a lotus flower. Sometimes, I don't know, have any of you ever seen the 18-armed version of Kali Maa, where each of her 18 arms is holding just a lotus flower? Really, really an auspicious form, not inauspicious, an auspicious form. Because when we see that all of her weapons have been put down, we know that there's already been victory. So many times, if I want to work in my mind laboratory, in my spiritual laboratory, and I want to manifest victory in some aspect of my life, I visualize the form of the mother that has already attained victory. And she's holding all lotus flowers. Sometimes that's my Facebook cover, to remind myself that once victory has been had, weaponry is no longer required. What else does she hold in her hands? So an axe, this is a classic iconography, and we know what the axe is for. It's to chop, to sever us from, the itty-bitty committee in our mind, the nonsense that we get attached to in this material world, to cut us from our entanglements. And then you'll also hear stories about her using the axe for collecting the arms for her skirt and things along those lines. What else is she holding? A Sudarshan disc, the disc of time. Not only the disc that can be thrown as a weapon, but the cycle of time. Once in a while, you see her holding a book representing the Vedas and ultimate knowledge. So one of Kali Maa's forms, if you look at the Daśabhujās, the 10 wisdom goddess forms of Kali Maa, once you start getting towards the end to like Matangi, the beautiful green-skinned form of Kali Maa, or even Lakshmi, Saraswati, which are synonyms for Matangi, Saraswati is, you'll see her holding a book or even sitting next to a stack of books. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about that she has in her hand is an ankusha, an elephant goad. And you'll also see Ganesha holding this, and this is to goad us forward, to prompt us, to get us moving, to control us from going out of line. And Kali Maa isn't about manipulating and controlling and forcing us into surrender. As a loving mother, she wants what's best for us. And we do have free will. We can go off and be willy-nilly if we want to. But when we visualize her on a regular basis, especially when we sit and visualize her in our heart center, in the spiritual heart, we can ask ourselves, what do we visualize her holding? How many arms is she manifesting in our mind, in our heart? And is she holding all of this weaponry? And what do these implements represent? Namaste, Louis, Jema. We are currently doing a class here at the ashram. It's to honor the dakinis, which are also forms of the mother. And one of the exercises we do for a short time of the class is we hold all of the different types of weaponry. We hold the axe and we hold the bowl and we, hold the crescent-shaped knife and like feel, what does that feel like? But one of the things I like to do is meditate on her arms, on her implements, and what do they mean? How can I utilize these iconography representations of her powers? Because those tools aren't there to like threaten us, right? That's not what they're there for. They're there to remind us of our own inherent internal power, to commune with the Holy Mother and say, an axe. And instead of waiting for quote unquote her to come along and whack, drop the axe, we can go inside the heart center and welcome that axe and say, please cut that attachment. Or, a book, please come, show me the wisdom, direct me to that swadhyaya, that sacred script. Or maybe you see her with just all those arms with the lotus flowers in her hands because the fight is over. The surrender is there. The willful, desirable surrender of all those things that disturb us. So our verse for tonight, we're on verse 22. Let's go back and review it. Gītapriyā, vādyaratā, pretanṛtyaparāyaṇā, caturbhujā, daśabhujā, aṣṭādaśabhujā, tathā. So that brings me to the last form that we haven't talked about tonight, which is name 156, pretanṛtyaparāyaṇā. She who is in the eternal dance with disembodied souls. So pretas, we know, are ghosts or corpses or disembodied beings. And nṛtyaparāyaṇā means being completely devoted to the dance or always engaged in dance. So this form of the mother, we've explored Smashana Kali, the form of the mother that's in the cremation grounds, the burning grounds of dead bodies, surrounded by preta, corpses, ghosts, spirits. But as pretanṛtyaparāyaṇā, this form of Kali Maa is the manifestation that is in an eternal dance with all of the disembodied souls, no matter where they are, because remember, she reigns over heaven, earth, and the underrealms. And she's engaged in this eternal dance of life and death. So our names and forms for tonight, she loves song. She loves music. She's in this eternal state of dance with maybe 4 arms, maybe 10 arms, maybe 18 arms. So if you're working on a sadhana with Kali Maa, ask yourself, when's the last time you sang a song to your Holy Mother? Just sang a song. When's the last time you danced with her? Spontaneously got into the movement of dancing or played music for her. And if that's not in your wheelhouse of things to do, just visualize her in your heart center with her 4 arms, her 10 arms, 18 arms, and spend enough time looking and contemplating at Kali Maa in your heart and see, what is she holding? Don't look in a textbook what she should be holding. Ask yourself, what do you see her holding? One of the devotees that comes here she was like, what is she holding in that hand? And, the image was obscured and it ended up being a bottle of perfume, fragrance. So let her arms show you what kind of implement you can use and how does that tool work in your life. All right. So till next time, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, share so you can catch this whole series. We're on tweezers. One of you said, oh, what are some other things? Tweezers, scissors. There's so many different things that she might have. So I hope you're all enjoying the Kali Maa series. We are on verse 22, and we've got a long way to go. We covered through name 159 tonight, and we're going all the way to 1008. So till we meet again, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma.